What if the hardest moments in your life aren't setbacks, but signals that God is preparing something extraordinary? Could closed doors and broken relationships be part of a divine design, leading you closer to destiny? Before you give up on what's falling apart, discover how God's greatest breakthroughs often begin with loss, silence, and redirection. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want to share with you 4 powerful signs that God is setting you up for something greater if you've been feeling restless. If doors have been closing, if people have been walking away, don't be afraid. God is working behind the scenes. And by the end of this message, you'll see that what's happening to you is not meant to break you, but to prepare you for the next big thing He has in store. So if you've been feeling like giving up, hold on. If you've been questioning whether God is still working, listen closely because He is about to do something in your life that you never expected. Let's dive in. Life has a way of testing us in ways we never imagined just when we think we're making progress. Just when we believe we're stepping into a season of blessings, challenges seem to come out of nowhere. Doors that once seemed open, suddenly closed plans that felt certain fall apart. People we rely on let us down. And in those moments, it's easy to wonder, God, where are you? I thought you had something great for me. Why is everything going wrong? But what if I told you that the very struggles you're facing, right now, are not signs of failure, but signs that God is setting you up for something bigger? What if I told you that before every great blessing, there comes a season of testing? You see, God never takes someone to the next level without first preparing them for it. And that preparation doesn't come through comfort. It comes through challenges, through delays, through situations that stretch our faith. Think about it. Before David became king, he spent years running for his life from Saul. Before Joseph became second in command in Egypt, he was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and locked away in prison. Before Moses led the Israelites to freedom, he spent 40 years in the wilderness, isolated and far from his people. Every single one of them was called to something great. But before they stepped into that promise, they faced seasons of hardship. And if you're in that kind of season right now, if you feel like you're facing setback after setback, if you feel like everything is working against you, let me tell you something. You are not being destroyed. You are being prepared. God is strengthening you, refining you, building your faith so that when the blessing comes, you'll be ready to receive it. See, one of the biggest mistakes we can make is believing that delays mean denial. We think that just because something isn't happening right away, it's not going to happen at all. But that's not how God works. His timing is not our timing, and sometimes the reason we don't see the blessing yet is because He's still preparing us for it. Imagine giving a 10-year-old a keys to a car. No matter how much that child begs, no matter how much they insist, they're ready. A good parent won't hand them something they're not mature enough to handle. Why? Because what's meant to be a blessing can become a burden if you're not ready for it. And in the same way, God will never give you something prematurely. If He's making you wait, if He's allowing certain struggles in your life, it's because He's growing you into the person who can handle the blessing when it comes. So don't despise the challenges you're facing. Don't lose heart when things don't go according to plan. That job rejection, that unexpected delay, that betrayal you never saw coming. It may not feel good right now, but it's working for your good. God is using it to shape you, to refine your character, to build endurance in you, so that when you step into what He has prepared for you, you won't just receive it, you'll be able to sustain it. And here's something else. The size of your struggle is often an indicator of the size of your blessing. The enemy doesn't attack where there's nothing valuable. The reason you're facing opposition, the reason the road seems so difficult, is because what's ahead of you is too big to ignore. If the enemy can discourage you, if he can make you give up, then he can keep you from walking into the blessing God has set aside for you. But here's the good news. No attack of the enemy, no delay, no struggle can stop what God has already ordained. What He has promised, He will bring to pass. You just have to trust Him in the process. I know it's not easy. I know there are moments when you want to throw in the towel, when you want to say, God, I can't take this anymore, but let me encourage you. Don't quit. Don't let the struggles you're facing make you doubt the promise God has spoken over your life. If He said it, He will do it. If He started it, He will finish it. And when you come out on the other side of this, when you finally step into what God has been preparing for you, you'll look back and realize that every hardship, every delay, every difficult moment was worth it. Because it wasn't breaking you. Hold on. Your blessing is closer than you think. There comes a moment in your life when everything around you starts to shift. The people you once depended on suddenly seem distant. Relationships that once felt strong begin to weaken. Certain friendships, partnerships, or even family connections start to fade, and you find yourself wondering, God, what is happening? Why are the people I love walking away from me? It's confusing, even painful when you experience this kind of shift. But let me tell you, when God is preparing to do something big in your life, He starts by realigning the people around you. Not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. Some people are part of your past, but they not assigned to your future. And when God is moving you to a higher level, He will begin to remove those who can't go where He's taking you. Now that's a tough reality to accept, because we grow attached to people. We want to hold on to the relationships that feel familiar. We want to keep certain people in our circle because they've been there for years, but just because someone has been in your life for a long time doesn't mean they're meant to stay forever. Think about it. When Jesus was getting ready to fulfill His greatest purpose, not everyone who started the journey with Him was there. At the end, He had the crowds, He had the disciples, but even among those closest to Him, some were not meant to stay. Judas walked with Him, but Judas wasn't meant to go to the cross with Him. Peter loved Him, but even Peter denied Him for a season. When God is preparing you for something greater, He will reveal who is truly for you and who is only for the season you're leaving behind now. I know how hard that can be. It hurts when people you trusted turn their backs on you. It's painful when someone you thought would be in your life forever suddenly disappears. But let me tell you this. They depart. A reure is not a loss. It's a sign. It's a sign that God is making room for the right people. If certain individuals had stayed in your life, they might have held you back from what God is calling you to do. They might have discouraged you, distracted you, or even led you down a path that wasn't meant for you. So instead of mourning the people who walked away, start praising God for the people He's bringing in. Because when He takes someone out of your life, He's making space for those who will push you, encourage you, and walk with you into your destiny. Now let me make something clear. This doesn't mean every lost relationship is someone else's fault. Sometimes God removes people not because they were bad, but because the assignment you had together is complete. Sometimes He pulls you away from certain circles because He's calling you to a new level of faith, a new level of obedience, a new level of responsibility, and not everyone can handle that. Look at Abraham when God called him to leave his homeland and go to a place he had never been before. God told him to leave his family behind, but Abraham brought his nephew Lot along with him. And what happened? Strife broke out. Conflict arose. There was tension that wasn't meant to be there because Abraham brought someone with him that God never told him to bring, and eventually, they had to separate. The moment they parted ways, God began to show Abraham the full picture of His promise. Some of you are wondering why you can't see the next step in your journey. You're praying for clarity, asking God for direction, but nothing seems clear. Could it be that you're still holding on to a relationship that God told you to let go of? Could it be that you're trying to bring someone along when God is asking you to step forward alone? See, we fear separation because we don't like to be alone. But what we don't realize is that sometimes God has to isolate us before He elevates us. Sometimes He has to pull us away from the noise, away from the distractions, so that we can hear Him clearly. If you're in a season where you feel like you're losing people, don't panic. God is not punishing you. He's positioning you. Now let me tell you something else. When God starts shifting your circle, it won't always be through loss. Sometimes He brings new people into your life, and at first, you may not even recognize their importance, but pay attention, because when God is about to bless you, He will always send the right connections. He will send people who speak life into you, people who see the greatness in you even when you don't. See it in yourself. People who encourage your dreams instead of tearing them down. David had Jonathan Moses, had Aaron Esther, had Maury. God always places the right people in the right positions to help guide you into your purpose. But here's the key. You have to be willing to let go of the past so that you can embrace the new. You can't walk into the next season of your life still holding onto people who belong in the last one. So I want to challenge you tonight. Take a look at your circle. Who is pouring into you, who is pushing you toward what God has for you, and on the other hand, who is draining you, who is pulling you away from your calling. If there are people in your life who constantly discourage you, who make you doubt what God has spoken over you, who keep pulling you back into old habits and mindsets, it may be time to release them. It's not easy, I know that, but trust me. When I tell you when you let go of what's not meant for you, God will fill that space with something greater. He will surround you with the right voices. He will place people in your life who will lift you up, who will challenge you, who will walk with you into the destiny He has for you. And one day you look back and realize that every shift, every lost relationship, every moment of loneliness was actually God's way of leading you to exactly where you needed to be. There comes a time in your life when something inside of you starts to stir. You can't quite explain it, but you feel it, a deep restlessness, a sense that something is about to shift. It's like a whisper in your soul telling you that you can't stay where you are, that something more is coming. You might not see it yet, you might not understand it, but you know deep down that God is moving. This is one of the most powerful signs that God is about to do something big in your life before He changes your circumstances. He starts by changing something within you. He begins to stir a desire in your heart, a hunger for more, a realization that where you are is not your final destination, and that stirring, that restlessness is not something to ignore. It's a divine signal. It's God's way of preparing you for the next season of your life. Maybe lately you've been feeling uncomfortable in places that used to feel familiar. Maybe you've been feeling dissatisfied with things that once made you happy. Maybe there's an urge inside of you to step out in faith, to take a risk, to pursue something bigger than yourself. That's not a coincidence. That's not just your emotions. That's God planting a seed in your heart, getting you ready for what's ahead. But here's the thing. When God starts stirring something inside of you, it doesn't always come with clear instructions. You don't always get a roadmap. You don't always get a full explanation. All you get is a feeling, a prompting, a sense that something is shifting. And in those moments, the natural tendency is to doubt, to second guess, to ask God, is this really you? Or is this just me? And that's where faith comes in. Because when God is leading you into something new, He won't always give you all the details up front. He won't always show you the full picture. But He will give you enough to take the next step. And that's what He's asking of you, to trust Him enough to move even when you don't have all the answers. Look at Moses. He had been living in the wilderness for years, minding his own business, when one day he saw a burning bush. That fire wasn't just an ordinary fire. It was a sign that God was calling him to something greater. But Moses didn't have the full plan. He didn't know how everything was going to work out. All he had was a stirring in his heart, a divine encounter that told him, you can't stay here. There's something greater ahead. Some of you are in that same place right now. You feel something stirring inside of you, but you don't know what to do with it. You feel like God is calling you higher, but you don't see the full picture yet. And if you're not careful, fear will try to keep you where you are. Fear will tell you stay where it's safe. Fear will tell you, what if you fail? Fear will tell you, what if you're wrong? But faith says, even if I don't see, The whole picture, I trust the one who does faith, says if God is stirring something in me, it's for a reason. Faith says, I don't have to have all the answers, I just have to take the next step. And that's what God is asking of you tonight to trust. The stirring to listen to that inner calling, because when God places something in your heart, He will also provide what you need to fulfill it. He doesn't just give you a dream, He equips you for it. He doesn't just give you a calling, He makes a way for it to happen. But here's the key. You have to be willing to move. You have to be willing to step out even when you don't have all the answers. Because sometimes the reason you feel stuck is not because God isn't speaking, is because you're waiting for clarity. When God is waiting for obedience, some of you are waiting for a sign, waiting for God to spell it all out before you move. But God doesn't work that way. He gives you enough to take the next step, and when you take that step, He reveals the next one. That's how faith works. You walk by faith, not by sight. Look at Peter when he was in the boat. Jesus didn't give him a detailed plan. He didn't explain how the water was going to hold him up. He simply said, come, and Peter had a choice: stay where it's safe or step into the unknown. The only way Peter could walk on water was by stepping out of the boat, and the only way you will step into what God has for you is by moving forward, even when you don't see the full picture. So if you've been feeling restless, if you've been feeling a stirring inside of you, don't ignore it. That's God calling you higher. That's God telling you that where you are is not your final destination. And yes, it might be uncomfortable. Yes, it might be uncertain. But trust me, when I tell you on the other side of your obedience is a blessing, greater than you can imagine. God doesn't stir your heart for no reason if He's placing something inside of you. It's because He's already prepared the way for it. If He's given you a dream, it's because He's already lined up the resources, the connections, the open doors, but He won't show you all of that until you take the first step. So don't let fear keep you where you are. Don't let uncertainty stop you from moving forward. Trust the stirring. Trust the process. Trust the one who placed it inside of you. Because what's coming is greater than what's been. And if you have the faith to move, God will do more in your life than you ever thought possible. There comes a moment when God begins to open doors that no man can shut. You've prayed, you've waited, you've endured, and suddenly things start to shift. Opportunities you never expected begin to appear. People come into your life who carry the wisdom, resources, and encouragement you need for the next level paths that seemed impossible before start to clear. And if you're paying attention, you realize that this is not coincidence, this is divine alignment. God moves in seasons. There's a time for waiting, a time for growing, a time for pruning. And then there is a time when things start to fall into place. And when that time comes, you will know. Because things that once felt like a struggle will begin to flow, the things you used to chase will start chasing you. Not because of your strength, not because of your connections, but because God is moving. But here's the key. You have to be ready to walk through the door when it opens. You can't hesitate. You can't let fear hold you back when God places an opportunity before you. You have to be bold enough to step into it too often. We pray for open doors, but when they come, we let insecurity talk us out of them. We start thinking, I'm not qualified. What if I fail? What if this isn't really for me? But let me tell you something, when God opens a door, He has already given you everything you need to walk through it. Look at Esther. She was an orphan girl who had no business being in the palace by all human standard. She was unqualified, unprepared, and undeserving. But when the time came, God placed her exactly where she needed to be. And when the opportunity arose for her to stand up and fulfill her purpose, she could have stayed silent. She could have let fear convince her that she wasn't ready, but she didn't. She stepped into the moment. And because of that, an entire nation was saved. Some of you are standing at the threshold of something great, but instead of walking through, you're second-guessing yourself. You're letting fear keep you stuck, but let me tell you, if God has brought you to it, He will bring you through it. If He has set an opportunity before you, it's because He knows you're ready. Even if you don't feel ready, even if it scares you, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And that's why it's so important to stay sensitive to his voice. Because when God is about to elevate you, he will bring people into your life who carry the wisdom and support you need. These are divine connections, relationships orchestrated by God to help guide you into your purpose. These are the mentors, the encouragers, the destiny helpers who will see the greatness in you even before you. You see it in yourself, and when they come, you have to be willing to recognize them and receive what they have to offer. David had Samuel before David ever sat on the throne. God sent Samuel to anoint him. David didn't go looking for Samuel. God sent Samuel to him. That's how divine connections work. You don't have to force them. You don't have to manipulate them. God will send the right people at the right time. But when they show up, you have to have the wisdom to discern them. Because here's the thing. Not every opportunity is from God. And not every person who enters your life is meant to stay. The enemy knows how to send distractions disguised as opportunities he knows how to place. People in your path who look like they're there to help, but in reality they're there to pull you away from your calling. That's why discernment is so important. You have to stay close to God so that you can recognize when something is from him and when it's just a distraction. But when something is from God, it won't require manipulation. It won't require compromise. It won't go against his principles. The right door will open with peace, not pressure. The right people will push you toward your destiny, not pull you away from it. The right opportunities will align with what God has already placed in your heart. And when you recognize that you have to have the courage to say yes, to step out in faith, even when it feels uncomfortable, because the truth is, every great opportunity comes with a level of risk. Every open door requires a step of faith. And that's why so many people miss their moment, not because the opportunity wasn't there, but because they weren't willing to step into it. Moses had to step before the Red Sea parted. Peter had to step before he could walk on water. Joshua had to step before the walls of Jericho fell. The blessing didn't come before the step, it came after it. And the same is true for you. You can't wait for everything to be perfect before you move. You can't wait for all the details to make sense. Sometimes God will open a door and all he's asking is that you trust him enough to walk through it. And I know that's not always easy. I know that fear will try to convince you to stay where it's safe. But let me ask you something. Do you really want to spend your life wondering what could have been? Do you really want to look back and realize that you let fear rob you of what God had for you? Because here's the truth. The opportunity you don't take today may not be there tomorrow. If Esther had waited, her people would have perished. If Peter had hesitated, the moment would have passed. If David had ignored Samuel, he would have never become king. When God presents an opportunity, it's for a reason, and if you don't take it, he will find someone else who will. His plan will still go forward, but you'll miss out on the blessing that was meant for you. So I want to encourage you tonight, if you see God opening doors in your life, don't let fear stop you. If he's sending the right people into your life, don't push them away. If he's placing opportunities before you, don't let insecurity hold you back. Because when God opens a door, it's not just about you. It's about the people he's called you to impact. It's about the purpose he's placed on your life. And one day when you look back, you'll see that every opportunity, every connection, every step of faith was leading you to exactly where you were meant to be. When God is about to do something big in your life, he gives you signs. He removes certain people. Because not everyone is meant to go where he's taking you. He stirs something inside of you, a restlessness, a hunger for more, because he's preparing you for the next level. He opens doors that no man can shut, bringing divine opportunities and connections that align with your purpose. But when these moments come, you must be ready. You can't let fear hold you back. You can't hesitate. When he calls you to step forward, the blessing is on the other side of your obedience. So trust the process. Trust his timing. Trust that what he has prepared for you is greater than anything you could imagine. When he shifts your circle, stirs your spirit, and opens the door, walk through it, because what's ahead is greater than what's behind.